Welcome back to Normal Prepping. My name is Belinda, and today I am going to do a viewer's request. Someone is asking for me to show you how to use my steam bath canner. So what I'm going to do is a little tutorial using a cranberry juice recipe. So come with me and we'll get started. So this is the steam canner that I use. It's called a Fruit Saver steam canner. I will put a link for this in the description for you. It comes with a manual which explains to you what altitude and what zone setting you're at for your location that you need to set this to, because this dial has different zones on here. So depending on what altitude you currently live in, it will determine where you need to set your zone. For me, for my altitude and my zoning, I have a mark right here. So that way I know when I am steam canning and I'm preparing this to get ready, that once my red dial gets up to that level and I have a steady stream of steam coming out of the little hole in the front right here, that I am ready to start timing whatever it is I am steam canning. To start my recipe, what I did is I put my quartz jars in my canner to get them steamed and warmed. So, because you don't want to use room temperature cans, you have to get them heated a little. And what I do sometimes is I will put my cans before I start, my jars, I'm sorry. I will put my jars before I start in the dishwasher, give them a good washing, and when they come out, they're nice and hot. This is another way to do it. Now, another quick tip. Anytime you're opening the lid of your canner, you open it away from your face and your body, because steam is going to shoot out of here. And you do not want that to hit your face. Just like that. And there I have my jars. Another thing I want to mention that is extremely important when you're using a steam canner. You can only process acidic foods or acidic fruit. Something, it has to be acidic. Any other thing like meat or any type of other different vegetables like asparagus and green beans have to be pressure canned. They cannot be steam bath because they are not acidic. And I just want to make sure you know that. That's a huge difference between pressure cooking, water, and steam bath cooking. So I'm going to go ahead. My jars are nice and hot. I'm going to go ahead and get them out or off my canner. And they're hot. As graceful as an elephant. What you want to make sure you do is you use these to get those out of off of your canner. Okay. So I'm getting my jars out because I'm going to get them prepared. And I also wanted to mention with you that this Fruit Saver canner is, we have a link for that if you'd like to take a look at that. Oops, be careful how you grip. These can be slippery. There we go. I have my jars, and what I'm going to do now is put my lid back on here. Make sure this little steam hole is facing this way so I can see it. And I'm going to let this continue to warm because I need this red dial right here. I need this red dial to get all the way up to the black mark before I can put my jars back in there to start steaming. So while that is getting ready, what I'm going to make here, as I said earlier, is I'm going to make cranberry juice because you know it's a lot healthier for you. It's the holidays. The cranberries are on sale right now at the store. They look beautiful too. I just love them. So I'm going to put this recipe together. Put this over here so we can have fresh cranberry juice. So for my recipe, each jar will take 3/4 cup of sugar. And you know, some people put up to a cup of sugar. It is totally up to you, but I'm going to stick with 3/4 because even if I want it to be a little sweeter at the end result, I can add sugar. So I'm going to fill each jar with 3/4 cup of regular white sugar, and you can use any sugar. You can even use honey if you like, which I might try in my next recipe. There we go. Oh, a little more. And there you go. If you put a little more, it's not going to hurt it. I mean, I like tartness over sweetness, so it's up to you how you like it. That's about right. Let's do this one. And also this little handy thing, it helps you not have any spills when you're filling up your jars. And we also have a link for this in our description. I use it even when I'm not canning. This thing is so handy. I use it when I'm filling my jars with dry ingredients. You may have seen me do that in a video, but it is awesome to have. And let's see, there is my 3/4 cup of sugar. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to move over here real quick. I am going to add my cranberries. And I am going to add, let's see, about a cup of cranberries for each jar. Yeah, let's do a cup and see what we got left. There we go. Now, how nifty this thing is. I'm not spilling anything. There we go. You know, and speaking of the canner, if you're trying to figure out where you should mark the lid of your canner, just Google your altitude for your area, and it will tell you where you should be as far as level-wise on your steam canner. And that's how I also, if you don't find it in the manual, just Google it, and that's Google is awesome. It will help you. So there we go. I think I'm going to add a little more cranberries because I have so much left in each jar. Ooh. You hear that? I hear the whistle of my canner. Just let me check my gauge real quick. It's not quite there, so we're going to let that keep going. But I do have a steady stream. It's just not to the temperature that I need it yet. That looks pretty good, I think. Looks pretty even. Okay, so let me move my sugar out of the way right here. Because what I'm going to do now is I need to fill these with hot water. So I am going to bring over my hot water and set it right there. There we go. Still need my handy dandy jar filler. So what we're going to do, scoop in the water. And this is very simple. It takes 3 ingredients to make your homemade cranberry juice. And also, if you'd like to make a variation of this, you can cut up a couple apples, add a couple apples in your jar, add some grapes in your jar, cran grape apple. And you want to fill it up to about 1 inch base, about like that, for each jar. And we'll probably have to go back and add water because as you see it's bubbling. I might lose some water. I am losing water in that one already. You know, they look so pretty. Okay, let's go to this one. And all I'm adding in here is boiling hot water. That's it. With your cranberries and with your sugar, that is all you have to add. Unless you want to throw in some grapes or apples in there, like I said, because that would be really yummy too. I was just telling my husband the other day I need a bigger ladle. This one's taking forever. You also want to make sure you have warm jars when you put these in your canner, and that's why I heated them up, because if you put a cold jar in your canner, say if my liquid was not hot and it had been cooled down, you have a greater possibility of the jar breaking. And you also want to be careful and not fill up more than 1 inch. You need 1 inch space in your jar, because that will also cause it to break. And I've had one broken. Happens to all of us. And I'm going to go back and touch up with some more water, because it looks like my cranberries are filling up with water, so I lost some of my water in the headspace. But I'm going to go through and make sure I have no air bubbles and kind of mix up my sugar a little. It's another little handy dandy tool. What this does is it removes all the air bubbles that are in your jar. And you want to get these, oops, get back in there. Just move them around and make sure there's no air bubbles. And I will be adding more water to fill them up to the top. God, they just look so pretty. There's some stuff going on in here. They're bubbling. Good thing I have a little bit more water left. Get it back up to that inch space. That's about right. Let me get my lids. And if you're not a canner, you don't know, your lids also need to be heated. It softens the rubber and helps for a better seal. So I'm missing one tool. Here it is. This thing is a lifesaver. Let me get a paper towel. Hold on. I will show you why. So I'm going to dip this in the hot water, my towel, oof, that was me, and wipe all my jars. You don't want anything on your lids that might cause them not to seal. So I'm just going to wipe off all my jars like so. Make sure everything's nice and clean. Okay. This little thing has a magnet on it. What it's used for is doing this. These are very hot. As you can see, they're steaming because you have to soak them in hot water to soften the rings, the rubber rings. And those go right on your jars. This way you're not sticking your hand in cold and hot water and burning yourself. I think this is about the prettiest thing I've made. They're so pretty. Ah! Oh, good. Let me stick that back in there just in case it touched my fingers. Yeah, you don't want to touch the rubber seal. Okay, there we go. And I have my lids right here. My caps, you just put finger tight. You don't have to, it just helps to keep the lid on so they seal. There we go. So while these are all ready to go, I am going to check my my steam canner. Oops. And we are exactly where I need to be. If you can see, the red mark is right on my black line, which is perfect for the area I live in. So this tells me it is ready to go. So now, and as I said earlier, careful, lift it away from you, because that is some hot steam. I'm going to turn that down a little bit, and I am going to set my jars up in my steam canner. I'll put this right there. You know, if you had all these jars ready to go before you hit your line, you could put these in there but you cannot start timing until you are at the perfect temperature that you need to be. But since my canner was warming up and I was still getting everything ready, I hadn't put them in early. So there we go. Look at that. Looks beautiful. So I need to make sure my steam hole is in the front where I could see it. There you go. Sits on there perfectly. There's my hole. So now, once my steam comes back out there, I'm going to set my timer for 20 minutes. So now my alarm has gone off, and I turned off my stove, and I am going to let my jar sit in here for 5 minutes to cool down the process. In 5 minutes, we'll come back and take a look. Okay, now it has been 5 minutes since we turned these off. So let's slowly open our lid, facing away from us. Look at all that steam coming out. Ta-da! There are my cranberries. Look at that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move them and let them cool for 24 hours before I move them again. Look at that. Beautiful. The cranberries have already begun to leach out their color, and you could see the sugar on the bottom, but that will go away in time. And before you drink them, you can also mix them up. You don't want to touch these. That's why you want to use these grabbers for your jars, because these jars are extremely hot. There we go. Oop, that leached out a little. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to let these sit, as I said, for about 24 hours. But at that point, you can remove the rings and store them in your pantry. And if you would like a safe way to store them, watch our video, because we did a video on how to store your candy jars. But what you want to do is store these for 4 to 6 weeks before you open them. And then that will give you the maximum flavor for these jars. So I hope this video helped you on the processing of using your steam bath canner. If you have any questions, let me know. I hope it was really helpful. Thank you for watching.